we saw the four commended films from the film competition. We now move on to the winning films. Today, therefore, to present the awards to the winners is Dr. Charles Elachi, Director of the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory. In the course of his 43 years at JPL, Dr. Elachi has been responsible for the development of numerous instruments and flight missions for Earth observation, planetary observation, and astrophysics. He became director of the laboratory in 2001 and now oversees 23 spacecraft and 10 instrument-conducting active missions. These include Juno, which was launched in August 2011 to conduct an in-depth study of Jupiter, Cassini, a joint operation with the European Space Agency, producing those breathtaking images of Saturn and its moons, and of course, Curiosity, the Mars Science Laboratory, which landed on the red planet last August. Before I invite Charles up onto the stage to make the presentations and we get to watch the films, I'd also like to mention an addition to the program, because we have another guest who is going to come and say a few words. I'm just checking my iPad to make sure everything's working fine. So actually, this new guest is someone who we have some big name speakers in these 2 days, but probably not quite as big as this. Will.i.am is going to join Charles to say a few words. Well, I mean, I should say, in addition, I mean, clearly you all know Will.i.am. I mean, so really he doesn't need much of an introduction. But in addition to his hugely successful music career, which doesn't need any introduction, he is the founder of I Am Angel, a non-profit organization dedicated to transforming lives through education, opportunity, and inspiration. And in fact, he is going to join us on the education panel discussion after the break. He's dedicated to promoting and supporting STEM education for young people. So I'll invite both Charles and Will.i.am to the stage to say a few words, and then we get to watch the films. Thanks, Charles.
First, I'm Charles. Well, good afternoon. The short film competition challenged 18 to 27 years old to use their creativity and enthusiasm to produce films that highlight and promote the importance of engineering in solving the world's greatest challenges. Entrants were free to choose any production technique and genre of film making. This resulted in a wonderful, diverse collection of films that showcased a lot of talent, an array of different interpretations of engineering themes. I'm delighted to be here to present trophies to the winners of the US and the UK short film competition. Before we watch the winning film, I would like to thank the competition judges. The US judges were Lee T. Chang, Elizabeth Fogel, Larry Johnson, and Bo Lewis. And the UK competition was judged by Kate Bellingham, Jamie Gallagher, Roger Highfield, Angie Hunter, Ian Ritchie, Sir William Wackerham, and William Webb. So let's watch the winning films.
People often think of water scarcity as an isolated issue. When they hear the phrase water crisis, the first thing they imagine is children without enough to drink. But this is only one symptom of a much larger problem in the world. I think that people often forget that we also need water for this, and even this. Which brings me to an extremely important connection, that between water and energy. When it comes to universal clean water, money is oftentimes what's standing in our way. So why does water cost so much? One huge expense is the energy required to make this water usable. When providing water to people, there are four main steps that require energy. So what we have here are four areas with huge potential for improvement, and there are many innovative purification techniques, but without infrastructure that addresses these four areas, they will only be temporary solutions. And our job as engineers is to create the technology for these improvements and increase the efficiency of current processes. But we can't do it alone. No solution is one size fits all. We need business people to check our ideas for economic feasibility. We need educators to shape the innovators of the future. We need social workers to help us collaborate with the affected communities. We need policymakers to affect the change and put our ideas into action. In recent years, Yule Water has created one solution that completely embodies these ideas. Their product, the WMS 1000, uses wind energy to condense water from the atmosphere. Producing 1,000 liters of water per day, this is an ideal, sustainable solution for isolated communities in arid climates. And this is a truly innovative solution because it doesn't stick to the paradigm of transporting water and cleaning it. It makes new water entirely. And that's the point. There's no one grand solution, only a million different ways to improve, and we find these opportunities by approaching this as an interdisciplinary problem. Just as the water crisis is more than a shortage of clean drinking water, its solution is more than just better ways of purifying water. We may have reached our Millennium Development Goal for clean water, but clearly there is still much room for improvement. And if there really are a million different ways to improve, it's not hard to be part of the solution.
What is engineering?
Is it merely a job, or is it a vocation?
It is this and so much more.
It is the manifestation of innovation.
Engineering has evolved alongside mankind from the first fire.
And has allowed us to enrich the way we live.
It empowers men and women every day, everywhere, to make changes.
Engineering is sometimes obvious.
And then again, not so obvious.
It can be applied to the most complex of problems.
But it doesn't always need to be complex.
It has provided the means to accomplish what many thought impossible.
And it has captured the imagination of thousands.
Engineers face some of the greatest challenges head-on.
To find solutions for today's and tomorrow's problems.
With the turn of a new century, engineering encounters a new challenge.
To create a sustainable world for future generations.
To remove the scars of the past.
To ensure that richness of life does not compromise sustainability.
Engineers must meet this problem.
It will be difficult, with many roadblocks in the way.
Not all of them will be scientific.
Some will be economic, some political, and some social.
But together, we will persevere.
Engineering has captured the hearts of many.
Working together, we have put man on the moon.
We have reached incredible new heights of technology.
We have now to turn our collective minds to a sustainable future.
Engineering, armed with determination, can continue to change the world.
Achieving sustainability will enable the Earth to continue supporting human life as we know it.
And all through engineering.
Together, we will find a solution.
Now, Mr. Will.i.am.
I'm nervous. So, a friend of mine, Dean, came and called me a couple of days ago and said if I was going to be in London around the 11th through the 13th. I said, yeah. He said, you should join me. So I said, okay. And I met Dean Kamen after I set forth on this mission to change the ghetto that I'm from because I saw this movie called Waiting for Superman. And Waiting for Superman tells you about the educational system in America. I got to this place because I wanted to move my mom out the projects. And that Waiting for Superman movie is about the projects that my mom and I grew up in. The school system is bad. People were riddled with drugs and obesity and diabetes. And a lot of my friends ended up in prison and dead. So the thing that saved my life was music and the school that my mom sent me to since I was 7 years old, Brentwood Science Magnet School. And I told myself that I wanted to take care of my mom and move her out the projects. And when I accomplished that, and then moved my aunt and my grandma, because that was my drive and the reason why I chose to do music. And musicians are always, called upon for earthquake relief, tsunami relief, political rallies to endorse a president. But we always ignore the ghettos we come from, because that's a crisis every day. Every day someone dies of drug overdoses or heart failure, due to things that big corporations, promote. And there's no education on wellness. There's no education on finance. And we just stay there. And this world thinks about the third world and developing countries. Meanwhile, people in the ghetto are not developed. And if they were to dare to live in a third world country, they would collapse. So sustainability is not just, and outreach is not just for third world and developing, but because the ghettos get ignored. So I watched this movie called Waiting for Superman. I'm like, wow, that's really sad. But what the sad thing is the title, not what's happening. It's the fact that they're waiting for Superman and not the Royal Academy and NAE and engineers and scientists and engineers and mathematicians. They're waiting for this fictitious character with tights and a cape. So it's like, wow, am I supposed to be Superman? Because my mom went to that school. I met a lot of super people. Maybe Dean Kamen could bring his first program and I could do what I can to inspire kids to want to become scientists, engineers, mathematicians, and technicians. Wow, what can I do? Oh, hey, Dean, can I make a TV program about your first program? So I went with a documentary crew and big stage and threw a concert right in the middle of the first competition and turned it into a TV program. And he's like, how are you going to get time? So I called ABC myself and bought time on ABC and took the risk. Because who's going to take the risk? We could just complain all day and talk to ourselves. And engineers and smart, intelligent people could look at popular people and be like, well, why would I want to collaborate with him? Well, to talk to humans. So I set forth on this mission to do that. And that TV show, because when you buy time on ABC, it's not like they promote your show. So I had to promote it myself, so I promoted it on Twitter and Facebook. And we were up against a giant. And the show still got a #2 rating for a back-to-school program in August. And then Dean calls me on the phone. He was like, you wouldn't believe who just called me yesterday after they saw your show. I'm like, who? Charlie Bolden from NASA. Are you serious? He's like, yeah. He's going to call you right now. So he calls me on the phone. He was like, wow, in all my years of supporting FIRST, I've never seen it on the popular level like that, on national television. That show was amazing. Do you want to come down to JPO and talk to some of the scientists to help us out in our effort to get kids into STEM? I'm like, sure. So I sat there. I'm like, first off, STEM's a bad name. You should call it STEAM and put arts in it. And you want to create teams of STEAM. So it's technology, engineering, arts, math, and science, and then science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. And create a movement around it. So because if the NBA could, spend a whole lot of money to make kids want to play basketball to the point where you're walking through high school and you see a basketball court, that court is synonymous with a company, and that company is basketball. Same with the football field and the baseball field and a bat, basketball. But when you pass by that science class, you don't know what company is connected to it. Just thinking from a kid's point of view. When you pass by the engineering class, you don't know what company is connected to it. Companies are important when it comes to kids wanting to be things, especially nowadays. So I was like, let me do all I can. What do you use music for? You use music to raise awareness. But you don't want to talk about it in your songs. You want to do things when you have success. So I'm sitting there at NASA talking about teams of STEAM. And so I'm like, so what do you guys got coming up? They said, we got a rocket that we're sending to Mars. So I'm like, hey, why don't you have a concert at a rocket launch? He said, you know how loud it is at a rocket launch. I said, you know how loud it is at a rock concert. But for safety reasons, we couldn't put a stage next to the rocket. So I said, when the rocket lands, doesn't it send a signal back? Can we hitch a ride? Can a song hitch a ride on the rocket so when the rocket lands, it could beam back to Earth? So that, media could talk about a song hitching a ride and being beamed back from a different planet? So they said, who's going to write the song? I was like, I'll write it. So that happened. I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But the sad thing is, more has to be done in popular culture. And it has to be done from you guys, right? You guys have to see the importance of outreaching and corralling funds to compete with your competitors. Your competitors aren't other scientists. Your competitors aren't other engineers. Your competitors are other companies that make an effort to impact the minds of youth. And they spend hundreds of millions of dollars a year to grab these kids, when you guys should be doing that too. It's important, especially the way the world's going now, when artificial intelligence in 20 years, a robot will be smarter than my 7-year-old niece when she's 27. That sounds giggly and we could laugh at that, but that's a fact. When years ago, a computer was a job, and now it's an appliance. 20 years from now, an engineer could potentially just be an appliance. So it's important for you guys to outreach and grab these kids and be the cavalry to save their lives, so they don't just have a choice between entertainment and sports, that they want to be engineers and mathematicians. And you guys have to make your superheroes celebrities. Popular culture doesn't do that. You guys have to make your Dean Kamens, Michael Jordans, and it's an investment. Our industry does it with the Academy Awards, and we all sit and watch it, and they're boring. And the Brits, and we sit and watch it. You guys should compete in this world of popularity, because the things you invent change the world, but the ones who invented are rendered invisible, and it's nobody's fault but you guys's. Thanks.
Now, the U.S. competition sponsored by IBM and Genentech was won by Katie Spites. I would like to invite Katie to the stage. So congratulations, and the winner of the UK competition is Paul Clarkson. I would like to invite Paul to join us.